Okay, we are recording. Austin, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very yeah, sun's out. I'm happy. How are
Where
you?
are you today?
Um, Wood Green at home in Wood Green. Yeah, the Wood Green Mall. It's a fantastic place. If you've never been there, then I highly recommend it.
Fantastic. I'm just outside of London, but it's been one of them rare days where we've had a little bit of sunshine, which is
I
nice.
know, yeah. It is windy though. I've got like an 11-week-old daughter. Um, and I took her out to the Wood Green Mall, and I was just getting a bit scared she was going to get blown away. Uh, or I was going to get blown away.
Well, look, we always start the podcast the same way, Austin, and I ask guests to tell me that the song they regard as having the greatest ever intro. So, what have you gone for?
The song I went for, which by the way, there's thousands in my list. I think this one has a strong connection to me and my youth, which is an everlasting emotion. I feel like, but yeah, "Time to Pretend" by MGMT. Um, when I hear that kind of like squelchy synth, if you had to, if nostalgia meant anything, that's exactly what it means to me. That sound, it makes me think that it makes me feel like we're running through the Reading Festival fields to kind of like try and catch them with my mates, and everyone's coming up, and it's just, I don't know, nothing's that bad.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so that's the intro. I don't even think it's that necessarily musically special or anything. It's just, but that's the beauty of it,
yeah.
and I think, yeah, it's
And,
beautiful.
and I think that intro literally just catapulted them into indie stardom for what felt like about a year, and then I don't know. I think when they made it, was it the second record? Was that
Yeah,
their debut? Yeah, when they made the
yeah, that
second
was their
record,
debut. Yeah,
yeah, they've wigged out even more, and
they did. Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
that
that
quite made it to radio.
that first album was, well, especially "Kids and Time to Pretend." That was them kind of um almost like parody in making a parody of this kind of like glam rock, like cocaine rock kind of thing, wearing, that how they dress and stuff. They kind of wanted to just make really kind of like obvious pop songs as a joke kind of thing, and it obviously ended up being incredible and like very meaningful to a lot of people, and the lyrics are amazing. But and I think that's what's so beautiful about it, is that the filters were completely off for them whilst making that, and then obviously Dave Friedman did an incredible job making it sound so full and warm and rich, and obviously very interesting as well. And I think that's possibly the best, in my opinion, the best debut album of my generation. I think a lot of people would agree with me my age as well.
And it works so well, because not just was it a banging record, but it kind of fell at a time when like Kitsune and Ed Banger were all
Oh yeah,
remixing everything, and
yeah,
as somebody that was the DJs in alternative venues, it was just perfect. All of a sudden, kids in Electric Feel and that were all just had these
yeah,
amazing remixes, like
yeah, yeah,
by
yeah. So
Sebastian
true.
and God, and it just made
Yeah,
it was so club friendly, and it felt to me then as well they were being synced on all sorts of
yeah,
adverts, and it just really sort of exploded. But it's
yeah.
such a beautiful little sort of quirky intro, and I kind of guess this was all happening around the time that Spotify was kind of coming into itself,
Yeah, I
and
don't think, even to be honest, it was before that. It was like 2000. What was this? 2008. I want to say 2008, because I remember actually covering it at college, at
yeah,
school, sorry. But it was before. It was like, it was even pre-Tumblr. Oh, 2007. So you
hmm,
could say like, yeah, indie sleaze. But yeah, it was before that. But you're right. It was a perfect mesh, because me and my friends, where we grew up, was, you had a house club that was called Tramps, and then you had an indie club, and there wasn't any there wasn't any of the girls that we liked going to the indie clubs. It was just all the lads. So me and my friend used to go to the house club, and I had mates that like house music and stuff, and like pop R&B and stuff. So we used to go there, but it was the perfect mesh of those two.
Yeah,
So when we finally got to finding our own world, when we finally got to finding what defined us, that was just, I was like, well, that's me. And
yeah,
that lead singer is everything I want to be.
yeah.
The guys wanted to be him and the girls wanted to be with him, kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna ask you for your next track, and I'm also intrigued to know. You mentioned tramps. Like, where was growing up?
Oh, so I grew up Worcester until I was 15. Then I moved to Birmingham with my mum. So yeah, that was more of a coming of age for me in Birmingham, finding people that felt like home to me. And then Worcester, yeah, it was a tiny little kind of like river. I guess it was a city because it had a cathedral. But yeah, that was growing up for me. Very small town. Wanted to escape. That's why I'm always trying to escape, I think.
Birmingham had good indie hangouts, though, right?
Yeah, the Rainbow, the Adam and Eve. For those who know about the Adam and Eve, that was kind of like short-lived, but that was the heyday. That was where the Birmingham scene, if there ever was one, was created by this band called Truemacker, who put on the nights called Truemacker and Friends and put us and Peace on and kind of championed us. Um, but before it was the scene was over before even it was even coined. But yeah, there was it. Those were indie hangouts, just Digbeth really,
Yeah,
but mainly on the street. We used to just hang out on the street in Digbeth, not even to try and sound cool. Like it wasn't very. It's quite scatty.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
You
it
got a
was
good
good.
live
But
venue
yeah,
there. Like that guy above me there in the picture, you can see there, who's a former musician called.
Previous Pip. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Pip and I run an indie night in at the Hare and Hands, funnily enough, in Digbeth
Great.
for many
I love
years.
the Hairy
And
Nuns.
oh, it's such a cool venue, isn't it?
Our first ever gig was there actually. Yeah.
Was it? It's
Hmm.
steeped in history, man. There's some fantastic like bands that have played there over the years, and
Yeah.
just good promoters there as well. Nice people.
Really good people. The
Yeah,
great sound engineers as well. Um, it's good location. I mean, it's coming up big time now, King's Eve. I guess next on the map to Moseley in terms of like hipster gentrification. But it's always been quite cool. But
yeah,
well, I don't know about always, but yeah, Scroobius Pip. He was quite big in Worcester. It's quite like a I don't know. I just heard his name a lot. Worcester was
yeah,
quite like trip hop, crusty, dubstep, anything like that. Anything
yeah,
left field of like the center.
yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you to tell me the first song that you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please, Austin.
I could say Time to Pretend. I could say again thousands of songs, but this one, I was going with the first things that came into my head, and this one, Stuck on You by Lionel Richie, was uh and the Commodores. My mum used to play the greatest hits by the Commodores and Lionel Richie in the car as we'd drive up. A lot of the journeys were from Worcester to Birmingham because she'd met a guy in Birmingham who was a security guard in some disused warehouse overnight. So he'd do like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. or something, make sure no one was getting in. And my mom, this sounds like I'm making it sound like irresponsible. It was dead fun. It was really good. We used to drive up there. She used to hang out with him. Me and my brother used to run around the warehouse at night, kind of like with our remote control cars and get into the vending machine and stuff. And anyway, those drives were soundtracked by Lana Ritchie, and uh, it's one of those infinities that I have, or maybe like safe spaces in my head, is kind of asleep in the back of a car, and those kind of sleeps when you're a kid are just there's nothing like them. Listening to Lana Ritchie and kind of like smelling a bit of cigarette smoke coming from the front seat, I can feel the material from the Ford Fiesta I think she had. I don't know. It was that's my comfort. Me and my mum went to see Lionel Richie actually in the Birmingham Arena a few years ago. What a performer, I will say.
You've got some tunes. He ain't shy of
Honestly,
the hip.
honestly, hundreds, hundreds of
Yeah.
tunes. His
Have you
story is
watched?
incredible.
Have you
Go
watched
on.
the We Are the World documentary on Netflix?
I didn't know that.
So
Is
they've
that
made,
recent?
yeah, it come out a few months ago, and it documents like Lionel Richie writing it with Michael Jackson, um,
Oh man.
and how they tried to get Stevie Wonder involved, but he just it's so good. And then basically the whole charity record was put together after like their version of the Brits. I don't know what it was called, but they were like, look, it's at 1 o'clock in the morning if you can get to this studio. And so they didn't even know who was turning up. Then all of these
Yeah.
people like Dylan and everyone starts turning up. It's fucking surreal. And
And
it's
they're
kind
turning
of,
Dylan away at the door.
and like,
Not you, mate.
well,
Not
it's
you.
interesting because he's the one that's like so out of his comfort zone because there's all the
Yeah,
kind of
no,
like
big time, yeah.
big head pop stars of that moment
Yeah.
there, and him just looking a little lost. And it's quite interesting to say
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's well worth a watch because it's all kind of centered around Lionel Richie's talent for writing great records.
Oh
And
yeah. Um yeah, that it just holds a real special place in my heart, all of his songs. It's always my go-to at karaoke. And yeah, I don't know. I remember when we were writing our first record, recording our first record, and I told the producer, he was like, "Come on, then, what do you want it to sound like?" And I said, "There's something in a lot of 80s songs actually, but a lot of Lionel Richie's songs. There's something that just sits underneath. There's an undercurrent. There's a bed that makes everything sound nostalgic and warm, and a huge sense of longing and melancholy, as well as like hope." Um, and I think his response was something like, "That's reverb, dude." Um, but um, but yeah, it worked. Whatever that was.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please, Austin.
Oh, what did I put for that? Oh, okay. Run DMC, Tricky. Um, yeah. Did you ever play the game SSX Tricky?
No, but I want to know what it is.
It was it was quite an iconic actually. I see quite a lot of it nowadays on Instagram because I feel like it's come back full circle. It's how the kids are dressing now. Um, it was a snowboarding game on the PS2 or whatever. But that's the song that soundtracked it. But my brother, he was a bit of a goth, but he kind of had that. When you live in a small town like Worcester, you got goths that are friends with people that are into hip hop, and like it's all kind of they all hang out at the skate park. No matter who you are, there's dangerous kids there, there's girls there, there's goths there, there's whatever. It's the beauty of it, really. But um, he suddenly got heavy into hip hop and LL Cool J and Run DMC and Beastie Boys and that kind of tale. And yeah, obviously anything that your big brother does, you follow. And that was something that me and him used to listen to a lot in our bedroom together, when we shared the bedroom. So that reminds me of that. And it was kind of one of those songs that I'd have that MP3 player that could fit 7 songs on, and
Yeah,
that was that was one of them. It's incredible to think about that, isn't it? I mean, I
yeah.
know that before that you'd have nothing, but that you had 7 songs,
It's
12
it's
songs, and I
it's more impractical than the fucking Walkman.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, but it was a novelty, wasn't it? Um, and it's not like anyone changed. No one had a computer like you'd have that one mate that had a laptop, and you'd go around to his, put it in the laptop, and then they're the 12 songs that you'd have for like the next 3 years kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
Did you enjoy school, and did you know what you wanted to be when you was at school?
Yeah, I was lucky. I think I did. I did know what I wanted to be, but I didn't know necessarily that it was being a musician or being a front person. But I think I enjoyed school. I had a good balance of I was good at making friends, and I was good at staying away from the wrong people, but also keeping them on side so that if you did get into trouble, you know I was just like the smallest kid in school in our year, and I thought that would definitely mean that I'd get bullied, and I navigated it somehow. Um, and I don't know how because I had long hair, and I wasn't necessarily normal. But yeah, I think I enjoyed it. I didn't, yeah. I had phases where I think I experienced some severe anxiety, would run home from school and not kind of go out for a year. But I think that was just growing pains. But I think I enjoyed it, yeah. I enjoyed the crack, as it were.
What what was you looking at in and around you? Like what you said that the scene in Birmingham was sort of done before it started. Like what was you looking at to make it feasible in your own head that you could come from where you come from and write songs and be able to make a career from that?
What was I looking at? As in, who was I looking up to think, oh, that could be me?
Yeah,
It's possible. Um, Oof. I mean, to be honest, I think it was instilled in me quite young that it was possible to do that. I think my parents, both of them, even though they raised me separately, they were both kind of taught that they were both told to do a certain thing. And my dad didn't do too well at school because he had epilepsy, and so literally just didn't missed half of school kind of thing. And my mom was, very much told to do something, and she wasn't, necessarily that way inclined. And so I think with me, as soon as I showed a passion for something, they just said, go, and of course you can do it. And I've always thought you can do anything. There's not, something's broke, you can fix it, and something's going wrong, it'll work itself out. But so I think there was that. But I do think my peers, the band piece, even though they were different, they had a different upbringing, they were different people, but I was good friends with them. And I think to see them, they had a lot of success well, they had success before us, basically. So to see them kind of do it made
yeah,
me feel like it was possible, even though we did it completely differently. And yeah, they definitely kind of beat the path, so I could see that there was the way through.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. As much as I do think that it's tough for people that don't have, something to fall back on, or financial stuff to fall back on. Um, I do think, I don't know, whatever happened, I can't, I didn't find it hard until probably my mid-20s, and that's when I kind of experienced how hard it was. I think that's when you're sadly when the the kind of like, I don't know, the dream juice starts to run a bit low, and you start to get a bit real.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, it's just harder, isn't it? But it's also, with that, makes a lot of things more clear. And um yeah.
You driven?
Am I driven? Yeah, I've got a chauffeur. No, terrible. That's my dad joke. I'm now a dad, so that's just what happens. Yeah, I'm very driven. I think that's, yeah, my wife does tell me that.
Why you? What sort of drives you?
Um, no, I'd like to be remembered. I don't know why, and I'd like to be heard, and I don't know why. So it's really hard. I was talking to someone about this the other day, about getting my music out there, and why do I want people to hear my music and hear my story? Um, there is quite a logical answer probably, but I don't know. Validation, I guess, is maybe what drives me.
Yeah.
I think me seeing the validation is me getting the satisfaction that music I'm making, and seeing the impact that Lionel Richie has on me, such a positive impact, that I'd like to kind of pass that on, basically.
Tell me the first record you remember buying from a record store.
Oh, what did I put? Was it MJ? Um, Sorry, laptop's just turned off. It was, oh no, it was another one, Bites the Dust by Queen. Um, it was it was this, or it was Linkin Park's first A-side CD single, I think. Which I forgot the name. But I will speak about the Linkin Park one though, because that split heads at school. Everyone, that was. It's funny to say it now, but that was what was rebellious. That was kind of that was out there. That was a bit. It was I don't know, some guy on turntables at the back of like some guy screaming. It was a bit. It was a bit. I don't know. It was a bit fun. Um,
But it was kind of I say I'm going to use the word new because obviously it was kind of got wrote sort of bolstered in with new metal, didn't it? Really,
yeah, yeah,
and yeah, I can see why youngsters would find that exciting and
yeah,
and a little bit. There was a lot of money spent on marketing that band. Do you know what I mean? So you can't escape them on
yeah,
MTV and stuff like that. So yeah, the machine
yeah.
reels the kids in, doesn't it?
It's interesting you say that actually. When you're a kid, you don't think about anything like that, the marketing budget or whatever. But yeah, you're right. Probably was a massive marketing budget.
Yeah,
That's burst the
absolutely.
bubble a bit. Do you
I'm
know what?
intrigued. I'm intrigued. I've got to ask you because you're a young man and you rattled off a load of hip hop that come out when I was at school, and I'm a 50-year-old man, and then you've just
Yeah,
your first record's a band that were existing, 10 years before I was born, and it's like you've just gone for Queen for your first record as well.
yeah.
It's quite a
Cool. I mean,
surreal,
yeah.
quite a surreal list.
This is what I'm saying, man. I'm not, I'm not cool. As in, like, I don't want to say that even makes me sound like I'm trying to be cool, but um, this list is very boy from a river town. There's nothing to do. There's no one telling you that this is the way to, me and my brother have got our influences from the CDs that were left in the loft from that house before, and they were Everclear, Green Day, um, Green Day, Limp Bizkit, and stuff like Good Charlotte and stuff, pop punk stuff, which happened to be like, just right up my street. But and movie soundtracks. The another one bites the dust from Queen. That's not because I like Queen. That's because that film Small Soldiers had it as the soundtrack.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's not. My dad played us like Beautiful South and Shania Twain. My dad was into stuff like Shania Twain because he fancied her, I think. But he also loves Simon and Garfunkel,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like my mom or dad had a wild record collection. They just liked they liked what they liked. And
But that's
you're gonna laugh at the next track then.
But do you not think that like I mean, for me, I think the Beautiful South have written some absolutely stunning singles,
Yes.
and Shania Twain's made some great pop records. And do you think
Yeah.
like them sort of like pop sensibilities, like Lionel Richie, who's wrote so many amazing pop songs. Do you think like them influences have kind of filtered through into your creative process?
Like without a doubt, without a doubt, and you kind of realize it in hindsight when you look back. Um, it's very instant sometimes. The influences, you'll be listening to a song and it'll just drift on to the next one. But yeah, I remember the talent show. My brother's quite musical, but he didn't do anything with it. But he was in a tribute. Sorry, the talent show. Him and his mates did a cover of a Beautiful South song. I can't remember what it was now. And it's just stuff like that. It just sticks with you. So I guess it just carries on. And I can't remember walking into school, but I can remember the colors of the wall and the curtains and stuff because someone did a performance, that I
Yeah.
remember. Didn't A bit off track, but didn't Paul Heaton recently get like a number one record from Beautiful South?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah,
I think he's one of the most interesting pop stars to ever come out of the UK. I think he's a fascinating human being.
yeah,
There's a documentary on YouTube if you ever get a chance about him and the House Martins and Beautiful South and everything that he's done. He's a really interesting dude, man. And he's got
yeah.
a stunning voice, mate. He's got such a
He's got an
unique voice.
incredible voice. Yeah.
Right. Um. Okay, so let's move on to your next track, and I'm going to ask you to tell me the song that soundtracked your years going out clubbing.
Yeah. I do actually do wish I went for something a bit different than this one, but um, this is immediately what I thought. That club night, that club called Tramps in Worcester. I think this song had just come out, Just Dance by Lady Gaga, and it was just like balls to the wall synth pop, wasn't it? Um, and I remember thinking it was mental, and just thinking this is like a sonically, it's quite pleasing, but also aggressive. And the vocal hooks and stuff that she was doing would like theatrical and sound like a bit circusy. Um, and look, I wish my experience was a bit cooler than that, but that's what my clubbing years were. It was 16 years old, getting in on fake ID and listening to like Lady Gaga, and then going into the crypt as they called it to listen to like Boy Better Know and stuff like that. It was it was truly crusty times.
But that's, I mean, I really like the fact that you're being very honest on this podcast, because it's way better to be honest and talk about records that have made that dent rather than maybe referencing what you might have been hearing in the indie club, because like I don't know, I think again, the furore around Lady Gaga when she come out was ridiculous,
Mm,
but when you sort of maybe sort of take a breath and step back and listen to it now, as you say, it's
mm,
fundamentally just a really good synth pop record, and like,
yeah,
and it
it's
and it
crazy.
holds up, and you listen to like Bad Romance, and
Yeah, oh my
what
God,
she's doing
yeah.
with her voice on that is mental, and like, but just it, I think pop music should be more like that, because I think it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, it's gone down a route of being very, it got too much, it got too stacked and it got too hectic, and then Lord kind of came out with like a three instrument pop song that was, and Gautier and stuff, and it's just people then started, and then over the years now it's all like Billie Eilish, and it started to get very small and very very whispery and very lo-fi because everyone was making everything in their bedrooms. So then that eventually influenced people at the top, big producers, to kind of take it down, a bit Elliott Smith. But Lady Gaga, back to Lady Gaga. There was a bit of a full circle moment actually. Now I think about it, when she did a gig at Moth Club to like 100 lucky fans or whatever, to promote her last record. It was maybe 2018, and for some reason, someone at the promotion team must have liked no knew me. I can't remember who. Anyway, they were like, "Do you want a DJ? They need DJs before she goes on." And I was like, "Yeah, fucking course." They were like, "Okay, it's going to be you, some other band, maybe it was the Horrors or something."
Yeah,
I think,
Reese would have been involved in that. Yeah,
I think it was Reese. I think that's where it must have come from. And then Mark Ronson, and then so we watched it. It was incredible. She just did a few hits on the piano on her own, and then I didn't even DJ. And at the end, someone came to give me the envelope of like 500 quid, the most I've ever been paid to DJ. Um, and I was like, look, that's really nice, but I didn't DJ. I didn't DJ. Just whatever. It's all good. And they were like, no, no, honestly, Mark Ronson said he doesn't want to carry around £500 cash on him, so it's better you take it.
I
I
mean
was like,
that's
well, listen, I will take it then.
I mean that's a good night, right?
It's a
You
great night.
essentially get paid 500 quid just to watch Lady Gaga spin like play a couple of tunes.
Honestly, my sister-in-law, my wife's little sister, she's never forgiven us for it because I could only take one person, so it was obviously Nell, but my wife, but she was like the biggest Lady Gaga fan out there, and that was like a huge, huge moment. But yeah,
I'm going
quite a
to
good story.
That's a fucking great story.
I had a
Um,
whole USB. I had a USB of my 12 tracks, all of these tracks actually. Stuck on You, Tricky.
I'm going to ask you to tell me a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please, Austin.
There's, as you know, there's thousands, there's hundreds. I could have done any Black Sabbath song. Um, Nights in White Satin by Moody Blues, though, I think that one is kind of a bit more up my street.
Mm,
It's a bit camp and a bit nice. It's a bit smooth FM. Um, that's got that thing that Lionel Richie's got, I think. But it's interesting with these because it's, obviously they're called the Moody Blues. Of course, they're from Birmingham, but um, I didn't know that until like 5 years ago. And when you see all these bands that are especially in documentaries, when they're in California or just in some random town, and they've got this like Brummy accent or like Black Country accent or just a Midlands accent, it just makes it so real. And you think, wow, you were all the way out there and just from somewhere that I would have passed through. And I just think that's incredible. And you're such an icon. Um, there's something about a regional accent out in the world, basically, that does it for me.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, you've got a lot to choose from for your home county there. And yeah, but let's talk a little about Nights in White Satin because it's a I mean, it's an absolute masterpiece, right? And
Mhm.
when it soars, it really does roar with beauty, doesn't it? It is special.
It's yeah, it's just one of those songs, isn't it? It's very, very, very timeless. That that lyric "Nights in White Satin" is very mysterious. You're kind of like, well, this could definitely be about heroin. This could definitely be about drugs, but I don't know what it's about. I guess it's about love.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's up for interpretation, isn't it? That's what makes it lovely, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do think that a lot of people always, especially at the start of a campaign trail, um, everyone's kind of like, which is a good thing to do, of course, but everyone's saying, what's the story? What are you putting out there? What's the story? I'm like, I don't know, man. Let's see what the story is
Yeah,
after people kind of digest it, or let's see what the story is in 5 years' time. Because I do think a lot of the time it's in hindsight that you realize what most of it's all about anyway. You
absolutely.
know, I think I think a lot of stuff that you write, especially when you're a child, or you probably won't understand fully until you look back on. It's like even 5 years ago today, you look back and you think, oh, that's why I was acting like that because that happened at the same time as this person passed away, or that happened at the same time as this, or it just it makes sense, or that's why I act like that now because anyway, yeah.
I'm going to ask you for your last track, and it's a song that many may not know that you would like them to hear.
Yeah, this one, I think people that do know are going to be like, "What's he on about?" Of course, people know that song, but I still show this song to people and they don't know it. So, um, "Spinning Away" by Brian Eno and John Cale. It's a song that I first heard. Um, might have been my old manager Mike who showed it me, but I just remember thinking like, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life," and it didn't have any. I wasn't thinking about Brian Eno when I listened to it. I wasn't thinking about John Cale. I just wasn't thinking about any of that. It was just a whole feeling that was being presented to me. And there's like a real low sub bass that's not even really. It's just like a pumping way through. It's not even on a beat necessarily. It's kind of just pumping. And there's that John Cale guitar that's obviously just so classic, even though it's just playing a little, almost like Nile Rodgers kind of thing. And then suddenly these vocals are coming in, and it's just taking you somewhere. And I remember I used to show it to quite a lot of people, and I remember I was at a house party, and I think I might have done some E. I was very young, mom and dad, if you're listening, and I showed it to a friend who was also experiencing what he was experiencing, and we just listened to it. And I just remember this guy called Zach Sheik from Texas. Um, I just remember him being like, "This, yeah, this is like." this is it. This is as good as it's going to get. And I remember speaking to him like a week after, and he was like, "What's that song?" I showed him the song, and we were, it was daylight, sober, and I said, "Do you still like it?" And he's like, this is even more beautiful than I remembered it." So that's when that was quite validation that was a beautiful song. But yeah, I recommend everyone listen to this. Maybe try and listen to it on a walk or something, or do something special for it.
We make it
But
nice and
yeah,
easy for people to check it out because we put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast
oh
with
great.
all of the songs that we've spoken about, and obviously your music as well. And so what's going on with your music? Where are we at? What's happening?
What's going on? We just released two of our singles from the album. How Many Love Songs Have Died in Vegas and First Song. And that's like it seems like it's going well. People are getting it. I want more people to hear it, of course, but at the moment I feel like we're just kind of like shouting into our phones about it at this point. But I
Yeah,
can't wait to just get out there and play some shows because I feel like that's when people are going to go home and talk about us, and maybe in a good way as well. And so we're going to release new music before the album comes out on June the 7th, and we're going to tour in the UK and the EU, and then hopefully go to Asia and Thailand. I feel like we need to go back there. We've got quite a really hearty following there, and we love it there so much. Do you know what? I actually had a bonus song. Can I shout out this bonus song?
of course you
This
can.
guy, this guy from Bangkok. You're gonna like this one, I think, actually, when you listen to it. This guy called Sarang Santi. It's called Quin Quin Lung. But he's got a load of really good songs on this album. Really like filthy, kind of like garage rock. But this is a Black Sabbath, the Iron Man song, my Black Sabbath. This is a cover of that, and it's so somehow they've just made it sound, don't know, just like really sleazy, really greasy. It
Yeah,
sounds incredible. And after like kind of getting into this, after the first time we went to Bangkok to play there, got really into this guy and into the music around it, and they've just got an incredible sound out there from that like garage rock. And now there's a lot of good stuff coming from there.
wicked.
But yeah,
When's the UK tour start?
that is June the 1st, I think it starts. And we go around to most places. We're going up to Edinburgh for the first time actually in a while. Never been to Blackpool. We're going there. There's talk of us getting an Elvis impersonator to support us, I think, from the Vegas video that we put out. And then the EU tour is Cologne, Copenhagen, Paris, Hamburg, and The Hague. And we haven't been to the EU for like 5, 6 years, maybe longer actually, just because we haven't. It's expensive to get there, and
Yeah,
if
of
you're only
course.
doing 200 cap shows, you just don't make any money. So it's a huge risk. But and honestly, I actually don't care if we're going to be playing to 20 people. It would be sad for a bit, but I think it'll be so fun to just go there and
Yeah,
experience that. And next time we'll go back and play to more people. So
absolutely. If people want to keep up to speed with release dates and tours and stuff, where's the best place to keep up to speed?
our TikTok, our Instagram. Yeah, those two places really. I post more on TikTok. I can't even say it. Than Instagram, but yeah, all the links and stuff are in Instagram. So yeah,
Wonderful. Well, Austin, if it's all right with you, when we drop this episode, we'll tag you in it. So if people aren't following you already, then they can do so nice and easily.
yeah, definitely. Please, thank you very much. And yeah,
Austin, it's been real pleasure, mate. It's been an
yeah,
absolute
it's been a
delight
lovely
talking
chat,
records with you,
Stu.
mate. All right. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I hope to cross your path at some point soon. We'll have a beer and do this properly. I'll give you 12 more.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to press stop, but don't go anywhere.
All right.